and we're here for another FPS. EGAD gets to have some more members eventually.
Eventually it'll be a big company. Eventually.
I guess to start out we can just introduce what our characters are. And then I can open up the scene.
Gestures to you first.
What your character is.
You first.
Hello, I'm Mike, and I'm playing the goofy little fighter, which is Cherry Bomb. And she is a big old goofball. She is currently exploring, and she overheard stuff, so obviously she needs to go investigate. And go on a little trip, you know, have a little montage.
I love that you started slipping into the voice during your introduction.
I think I kind of just have to, you know?
Yeah, it's just, I have to resist the urge to do that because Scratch's voice is a spoiler, so... But I suppose I should introduce myself. Hiya, I'm Mikey, that's what most people call me. But I will be playing Scratch, the Black Swan, who's definitely a Black Swan, I promise. Scratch has unfortunately run into a slight issue wherein he's lost a number of things that he's trying to find. He has nowhere to go that he remembers, and no one to see that he remembers. So he's mostly been going along with the wind wherever it takes him.
Or in this case,
of course,
the dirt path.
In this case, the dirt path. He hasn't really cared for particular cities or taverns or anything like that, and prefers to sleep under the stars rather than under any rooftops. It's unclear why, but he also doesn't really like showing his other features, so he tends to conceal himself just a bit. He's the kind who would be wearing the bowler hat, a long-sleeve button-up shirt, occasionally with the sleeves rolled up, and a vest and some spats.
Aww. He's just a funky little guy.
Is usually pictured with some sort of cigar or other smoking implement, or otherwise napping in unlikely places. But he's an incredibly cheerful sort so long as nobody tries to hit him. Then he'll fly with the wind. But, you know, we have Scratch here.
So I think that Scratch is probably out on the road currently, walking down the road.
He's
probably outside.
Either walking down the road or he's having a smoke break, like a rest.
Oh, that's possible. I think in that case, you're just like off to the side. Maybe old Cherry, she's been wandering for quite a while. Her thing is kind of just wandering on foot. She doesn't realize that she can just use a heckin' car. She used a taxi like once, but she just likes being able to wander around. That's kind of her thing. She likes to explore.
Same with Scratch.
And she's exploring. She's looking down at a little card that she has in her hand, and she kind of just shoves it back into her pocket. Her hammer space, and she notices you, Scratch. What's up? What are you gonna do?
Probably standing there. He's originally minding his own business. He's probably been walking all day, so he's just relaxing with a lovely fat cigar. The lighting's a little low around him as he used a particular cantrip to light his cigar instead of any other natural means, because of course he did. But as he glances over, the temporary magical glow leaves his eyes, turning them back to the classic black and white, and he smiles and waves, cigar still in his beak.
Cherry's just gonna start waving back, but it's a little bit more intense. This is an invitation to make a friend.
Scratch probably will actually try and... I imagine Grolix sign language doesn't look the same as common sign language. It's a little more exaggerated and abstract.
It might be.
But he's probably gonna... Yeah. He's gonna try a little Grolix sign language just to see, hey, where are you heading?
Should I roll to see if she reads?
You know what? Why not?
Okay.
Just an intelligence roll. Let's see what happens.
Intelligence. How's your... Okay, it's a straight D20. Let's see here. Okay, 14.
Not bad.
Yeah, she would understand. Probably enough that she could still speak in common, probably. Where am I headed? Well, I don't really know, actually. Well, how do you do? Hello, my name is Cherry. And she holds a little hand out for, like, to shake on it.
He glances down and he smiles, mouth full of teeth, and he extends a gloved hand to shake hers as well.
She's gonna shake vigorously. The cartoon actually exaggerated.
Yeah, it probably shakes his body a bit too. Like cartoonishly, he just shakes a bit with her. Because the truth is,
what is your name though? Hello. You have a name, don't you?
Yeah, he eventually pulls his hand back, but he's still shaking after the fact, so he has to stop himself, because the truth is his arms are noodles underneath of the sleeves, so he's very physically weak. He is not fit for exercise.
I'm like really strong, as you can see. And she does like a little flex, but her arms are clearly noodles.
Scratch tries to do it too, but it just shows that his arms are noodles and nothing happens. But he eventually signs, "You can call me a Scratch." I don't remember if that's my name or not, but it sounds correct, so that's what I've been going by. Okay. It's nice to meet you, Jerry.
So, I kind of do have a destination, but, I like to take my time. I've been kind of just wandering around all over Einquell.
Nods and he signs...
You're doing the same thing, are ya?
He signs, "Actually, I am. Except I have no destination in mind. I've just been following the sunset, so to speak."
Okay, but if you're gonna follow the sunset, you're probably gonna find yourself in some kind of real kind place, which I would like to visit one day, but right now I'm not focusing on that. But if you need ideas, I wouldn't mind having a little friend along the way. You know, the little montage.
A bit of thought. He gives it a bit of thought, and he lifts one gloved hand up to the quote-unquote chin of his beak, just to sort of rub it a bit. It's a very exaggerated thought. He's probably already thinking of going, but he just has to make it look like he's considering it for a minute. Because he's been on the road alone for a while. He's not used to traveling with others, but here's an excitable and very, very short tune compared to him, who just wants to have him along for the road, and she doesn't seem like she's gonna hurt him or try to rob him at any sort of knife point, so...
I don't think she ever would.
And he's going to nod. And he's going to sign, "I mean, if we can find a rest stop for me to get some sleep, then we can part ways there. But I wouldn't mind having a walking partner."
Oh, a sleeping place. Right.
Well,
there's gotta be a couple places we could go to. We could try to find something. There's gotta be like an Airbnb or something nearby. Like an inn, a hotel, if you will.
When he starts almost laughing, there is one thing to note, and you wouldn't even need a perception check to notice, but it's not a proper laugh. It sounds like a sort of wheeze laugh. Like the sound is meant to be there, but it's just not. It builds up to something and then goes silent, but continues with the wheeze. So he looks like he's laughing, but it's just like a squeaky cartoon wheeze, just, a mutzly laugh is the better comparison.
She just kind of giggles along. She doesn't suspect anything. Like, she notices that's a thing, but she doesn't, put any, thought to say anything about it. She's like, hey, some tunes just do that,
But he is gonna probably just get off the side of the road and come up to her side, and he does look somewhat proportionally appropriate for a swan. He's got the longer neck, and he's got the slim, long beak, but aside from that... Oh, definitely taller. Definitely taller. He's about, let me pull up his sheet again. Oh yeah, he's 5'6". He's 5'6".
Oh my god. Yeah, Cherry's a lot smaller. She's I need to update her sheet, but she's like 4 or 5.
He's got a couple feet on her, yeah. The swan height is definitely noticeable. But yeah, he probably would just, he would actually have a cane at his side. It wouldn't appear that he would use it to help himself walk. He just kind of has it at his side and just sort of walks with only the slightest. Kinda, not quite. I'm not going to say anything more than that, but kind of not quite. We'll say that. But it's just a very plain-looking cane. It's, the traditional cane kind. It's got that candy cane shape to it, and it's just made of wood. But it would be noticed that it, along with the rest of his clothes and everything else on his person, are completely black and white. There is not a speck of color. Except for that cigar.
So I assume you're probably a little older, maybe you're from, Fleischerberg or something. I still need to go there sometime.
What would it it be to roll if he remembers Fleischerberg or not?
I mean, if you want to, that's up to you. If you want to make him originate from there.
No, I mean, what would it be to roll if he remembers hearing about it or knowing about it at some point?
I guess you could roll like a history check if you want.
Okay, so d20 plus, let's check his history modifier. Is he good at history? Is he? Surprisingly, yes, he is. So that's a +2.
I mean, he's doing better than Cherry. Cherry's history is
No, he's not.
0.
No, he's not. So he just kind of shakes his head. He looks curious about it, though, and actually signs, "What have you heard about the place? I don't believe I've heard the name before. Is it fun?"
Well, from what I've heard, it's probably one of the more one of the first kind of remaining places of Einquell, because for some reason the history's a blur, if you call it that way. I don't know. I never focused in school. I was busy running around and doing other things.
And he nods and signs, "I was very much the same way. I tried to pay attention in class. Everything would whiz right in one ear and out the other."
Oh no, I mean, like, I didn't even focus, not a bit. I just wanted to learn how to use a sword and try to be a knight, and then I guess not to brag, but I'm kind of a folk hero back home.
Ooh. His head does perk up at that as he sort of signs, "Got a hero type walking along with me, huh? Have you slain any monsters recently?"
Oh, no, not like that. Usually just
Not
always,
like that?
there's always all kinds of, like, comeupptions, or what's it called? Between the two kingdoms of the area, they always kind of fight, but not, like, actual fight. It's hard to explain, but usually I end up bringing them back to, like, a nice truce and peace, which is good. But I have fighted some big monsters and things. I will say that. I totally did that.
Would you be willing to talk about any of them? I assume we have a decent trip ahead of us.
She would.
He's probably going to regret asking about it, but he hasn't had company in a while, so he's entertaining the story.
So you want to learn how I got to deal with a mirror man, and I got my shoes back, my soul back?
He signs, "Your soul? I would love to hear about it."
So...
And I'm gonna make him a quiet roll in the background while you do that.
Yeah, go ahead.
D20 plus... We'll say that's a wisdom roll, actually. So, wisdom is... He gets a +0, so that's a flat D20. You can continue talking. Don't mind me. Don't mind me.
So I didn't intend to, like, do anything. But one day, I just woke up and my shoes were gone. My boots were gone. I walk with these boots. I can't go anywhere without them. So, obviously, I had to go look for them. It turns out other people were also missing their shoes. The soles, you know, the soles of your shoes.
He makes a brief expression of, "Oh, you meant the soles of shoes." Because he signs, "I thought you meant a different kind of soul."
No. She just kind of kicks at the dirt on the ground. Like, oh, shucks.
And he continues signing, "I'm actually quite used to walking barefoot, but I can understand how it's uncomfortable for others."
Oh, yeah.
So, where did they end up? What happened?
She kind of, like, pauses for a moment to kind of, like, squint her face a bit, just to try and think. And, she's thinking pretty hard. She's trying to remember. Because it's been a while for her.
He's letting her take her time. And as he's waiting, he is going to, he's just going to blow some smoke rings from the cigar just into the air.
Sorry. Okay, so where was I? So
he signs shoes, soles.
Shoes. So we go in, and turns out this mirror man and his guards, they took our shoes for some reason.
He does kind of...
His whole thing was all mirror based, and I saw like a reflection of myself. It was weird. I got my shoes back though, and well, I tried to tell him that, he shouldn't be doing bad things. He shouldn't be stealing. If he wants my shoes so badly, he could pay for them. And I tried to explain to him, but that didn't quite work. And I just kind of told him, we can let bygones be we can let them be bygones. I can talk. I didn't do what I thought I was thinking in my head at the time. I admit.
He nods along.
It doesn't match up with the whole code of being like a knight or a hero, but I learned from it.
He nods and he signs.
One of those guards was really big. And he couldn't fight me.
Ooh, how big are we talking?
He's very big.
How tall? Taller than me?
Probably about as tall as you. Or a bit taller, probably.
At least there's a mirror tall enough for my reflection, finally. All of the other ones are made for shorter tunes here.
He was helping the mirror man. I don't remember what kind of tune he was. It's been a while. But I tried to hit him. That didn't work. I couldn't fight him, but he couldn't fight me. So we kind of had like an intense stare-off.
Stare-offs are good. Though, I will say, not every knight follows the same code of conduct. So even if you weren't following your current code, it doesn't mean you weren't following a code.
That's true. I do try to keep true to it, though. I always want to do the right thing.
Of course, but it doesn't hurt to deviate every so often, especially if it helps you do the right thing.
That's true. I mean, also, I might have also thrown a ladder at one of those guards. I think he's still stuck against the wall. Surely enough, if you want to go for full cartoon nonsense, you can imagine just hard cut over that very guard is still sitting there with that ladder stuck around his waist. He's just like, why am I still here?
It sticks out like a diving board.
Oh no, like it shot, like she threw it and it got stuck again. Well, actually no, she rammed it. And this was actually a thing in a previous game.
Oh, the poor guard is just minding his business. He's waiting for someone to bring him his coffee, probably, because he's still stuck.
Oh no, they were definitely fighting the rest of the party. That's for sure. She just like pulled it from her hammer space out of nowhere, just ladder, and there you go. But you can tell she's probably going into detail about this whole thing as the two of you are walking along.
And he is listening. He can hear her perfectly fine, but he's just going to keep an eye on the environment around them to make sure that they possibly may be making a difference in where they're going, and, they don't happen to get lost or anything.
Let's see. Hey,
Cherry, that would
be going in the right direction.
Would that be a survival check?
I just did a straight 20 just to see. Okay, so she is going the exact opposite direction of where EGAD is on the map. And for point
does
of
she have the map out?
Not open at the moment, but she will probably like pull it out from like her hammer space. Which I need to actually pull up the hammer space chart in case if I roll a thing. Let's see if I can actually do the hammer space.
I'll also roll survival while you wait.
She pulls it out of her pocket, yeah.
So he probably notices that they're going a different direction than even the way he was intending, but he wouldn't fully realize they were lost until she probably pulls the map out.
Oh yeah, no, she looks at it for a moment, then she realizes it's upside down, so she turns it right side up. And then she takes a look at it. She's like, oh. Well, that's okay. We can always just take the scenic route.
He cranes his neck and head over top of her head to look at the map.
And presumably when she... like a little kid.
And presumably when she turns around to go the other way, he tries to keep a poker face, but there's just a look of, oh. So this is how it's going. And he's gonna follow her the other direction. And he's gonna try to help so that they are not lost. Cause...
Wait. Are you sure that you really want to go the same way as that?
He kind of tilts his head, and he signs, what do you mean?
Well, I mean, we got all the time in the world to get there. It doesn't take very long, if you know how to go about travel, of course. I would know. I have walked along here quite a bit. And we can always do some other things along the way.
He glances from Cherry to the fact she was immediately walking the opposite direction of the direction she was intending to go, back to Cherry, and he's gonna glance up. What time of day do you think it would be?
I feel like it would be like the afternoon.
The afternoon. All right, so he'd glance at where the sun is, and he'd try to estimate how many hours it would be until it sets and they'd be in proper danger. And he just kind of, he's not completely silent, he just can't speak, so there's just a, And he glances down to her, and he signs, "How long have you been walking?"
She begins counting on her fingers. 1, 2, 3. A while, I think.
A mile. Well, wouldn't you want to... A while, not a mile. My mistake.
Oh, definitely more than a while.
Wouldn't you want to find a place soon where you could rest your feet? That way you're not worn out?
Oh, I have, actually. That's what you do when you take the scenic route. You find nice little spots to take a little rest and do some other things. I went to a bazaar somewhere in like Happiest Place, and there was a zombie convention. That was a thing. And then I went back to my hometown, and then I started walking back out here.
He kind of pauses a second and gives her a bit of a look at the zombie convention.
Hey, don't you know there are some like cartoon zombies out there. You know, fellow toon-kind. They're a little funky, but I still have a little snack from them.
And he would sign, "No, I know they exist. I did not know they held conventions. That's new to me."
They had
Was
like,
it
this
fun?
little bazaar. There was a really scary looking guy though. He tried to take everyone's brains. He tried to take mine, and I want you to know it's a very big brain. It turns out I'm very, very good. Very big.
He just smiles and he reaches down and pats her on the head and signs, "I'm sure you do have a big brain, Cherry. I'm sure you do."
If you were to pat against her head, it would sound empty.
And he would probably hear that sound and just not say anything about it.
You're like, sure.
But he would sign, "So long as the scenic route doesn't take us anywhere dangerous, that's fine. I just don't want to be out too long."
Oh no.
I'm normally all right
me,
with...
it's gonna be easy peasy.
He then shrugs and he shrugs and he's gonna let her take the lead then, just with a courteous and flamboyant little bow, just like, "Then after you."
There's probably like a whole montage sequence of actually going to different areas of Einquell. Like,
God,
she
yeah,
stopped
just
by her hometown for like a hot second. You're like, wait, why are we over here?
Yeah, he glances around like,
why are we here?
Huh.
What is the point of
Huh.
that? This is like a dessert themed place. What?
Yeah, it's just, he's looking around, and for a split second, he's trying to resist the fact he's kind of hungry, just trying not to glance at anything in a particularly hungry fashion before they move on from that.
Scratch, you look a little ravenous. Do you want like a hot dog?
He just kind of crosses his hands and shakes his head and smiles, and I'm gonna roll him deception on that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, let's see. His deception is... Oh yeah, +5. Okay. Let's see it. That's a 15!
Well,
if she wants to try...
I'm just gonna get one from me then.
And he nods it. And he's gonna let her get one. And he's gonna just try not to glance anywhere in particular. Just keep focused on Cherry. Keep focused on Cherry. Keep walking forward and stop staring at anything vaguely food-shaped because you haven't had your rations all day.
Right in front of you.
He's gonna just occupy himself literally anywhere else, then just glances around. Oh, nope, that's a food-related item. Oh, no, that's a food-related tune. Look somewhere else. Oh, no, that's an ice cream tower. We're gonna ignore that.
Mind you, the hot dog in question, it looks like a hot dog, but when she bites into it, it looks like a sponge cake.
So yeah, he probably doesn't notice that, and he gets slight look of surprise, like, huh? And signs like, well, wait a second. Wait a moment. Wait. Are you sure that's a hot dog?
Of course it's a hot dog. Don't you? This is a hot dog. My friend Seeker had them for the first time when I got to visit last, and it was really good.
He's gonna glance at her, then at the sponge cake looking fake hot dog looking thing, then at the stall she got it from, and then back to her.
You want to try some?
He looks hesitant for a moment, but then she could actually hear the little rumble of his stomach, and he looks slightly ashamed at that.
Oh, Scratch. If you want some food, you could just say so.
He signs, I would like to keep moving. I can save food for later, but if you want me to get some food, I'm not against it.
She's just gonna shove whatever's remaining of her own towards it. Like, take it.
There's a split second where his head and neck kind of zoom back in response to that when she tries to shove it close, but his head stays there for a moment and then cautiously reaches, takes it. Does it feel like a hot dog?
Yeah, for the most part.
Does it smell like a hot dog?
Not really.
If he glances at it, what check would it be to figure out if it's really a hot dog or not?
Oh, I can just give it to you. It really just looks like a cake that is in shape of a hot dog.
Ah, so this is one of those YouTube cake videos. Got it. Good, great. And he just kind of... He feels it over for a minute, but then just shrugs, and he's gonna take a bite. And his face looks conflicted for a moment, but then looks pleasantly surprised at it.
So...
And then you watch as he opens the beak full of sharp teeth and shoves the whole thing in.
Oh. So I take you did want one.
And he kind of nods. There's cake crumbs all over the edges of the beak as he's just chewing, and it just goes down the long neck, down to the stomach, and you could hear it hit the stomach with a little ding.
Oh my god.
Listen, I've watched a ton of tunes. I'm gonna go on the antics. And how much is it to order another one?
It's probably super cheap, honestly.
Coin specifically, because he has 15 gold.
15. I'd probably say like 1 or 2 gold. Just to be nice.
Admittedly, in terms of D&D money, that is not cheap, but he will still put 2 gold. So, we're gonna knock him down to 13 gold.
It's like super cheap. Very, very low. So you could use up whatever money you feel like, honestly.
We'll use 1 gold and the rest will be a tip to the stall.
There you go.
The rest will be... He just pass a gold and they could keep the change. And he just gets like 4 or 5 cake hot dogs in one sitting. He's just holding them in his noodle arms, and as they continue moving along, he's just gonna go through them and his...
Oh, if you like that, you probably will actually like the bazaar, probably. But I have to visit there sometime. Maybe not today though, because we gotta go see this EGAD thing.
He also nods because for a split second he forgot. Oh yeah, we were supposed to be going through, woodland, not cake, not cake.
Deserts in the desert.
Yeah, forests. You're supposed to be in forests.
Oh yeah, no, the montage is just gonna continue, and now she's just like back in Toontown. So it's a little closer, but not quite as close.
Closer, but not quite, and he is still burning through the quote-unquote hot dogs, and anytime he eats one, it's almost like the sound of a chainsaw as it just goes into his mouth, and...
You must have been hungry. Have you not had food for a long time?
He kind of... I'm gonna roll him deception on this one. I'm gonna roll him deception, because, about that. That is the wrong number. That's the wrong letter. My keyboard is faded. Don't mind that. Okay, if she wants to try and see through it, she would have to roll insight against a 16.
Insight. Okay, Cherry, what is your insight? It's probably terrible, isn't it? Oh, it's actually a +4. Okay. She got a 6.
Yeah, so at first, there's a split second where he looks caught off guard by her asking, but then he has to finish a particular handful of the cake so he can actually sign because, he has a decent amount in his arms. Has to free one up.
He's got his hands full.
Yeah, and then he signs, I've had some recently, I just, and this part is the honest part, I haven't had cake in a really, really, really long time, so I apologize. I'm really enjoying the taste of that.
Okay. I actually really like the food back home, too. Although I heard that the Ghiblian Empire has very good food as well. I got to go there once for a festival.
Any signs, how good are we talking?
Very good. Like, it was mouth-watering. Although, I will admit the ski balls could have used more salt, though.
He almost along for a minute, but then pauses when he processes ski ball and just kind of glances at her for a moment, confused, and signs, "Oh, is it like the hot dogs where you say they're one thing, but they are actually a food item?"
No, this was just a ski ball. This was like part of the arcade area. I was just getting hungry.
His arms just kind of fall for a minute, and somehow the hot dogs don't fall. They're just sort of suspended for a moment. It's an animation error. Don't worry about it. He just looks confused. Like you can just hear the gears.
My friend Amy had one as well, and she agreed. It just needed some salt. They had a parade too. It was very nice.
He continues citing, parades are nice. I'm going to focus on that instead of the ski ball. Also, are you sure you know where we're going? This also doesn't look like...
I know the place like the back of my hand. Oh, wait, that's new.
Can he try and politely gesture to take the map and try to lead them along?
If you want.
Yeah, he'll sign here. Let me try. And just holds a hand out.
Do I have to roll anything?
No, you can just decide.
She's just gonna stupidly like stare for a moment and go, okay. She just hands it over.
And he's gonna take the map and he's gonna roll a survival check to see if he can start getting the back on the right track. So that is +0. That's a straight d20, so...
A 15.
Solid number. He, of course, realizes that she is indeed taking a scenic route and is mostly taking to see the sights, which aren't bad. I imagine this particular town looks very nice.
I mean, it's still the afternoon. It feels like you haven't wasted much time at all, because, in a way, this is kind of part of the montage.
Yeah, it's also part of the montage when he tries to get him back on track and inevitably gets also sidetracked. So for now, he attempts to get them back on track, and eventually they leave the town behind and re-enter the, I assume, forest/jungle line, if I remember EGAD's.
Like, when you begin to leave Toontown kind of area, let me just find the map again. Let me just pull it into another tab.
Take your time. I'm gonna have a sip of tea.
Oh yeah, so there's a river you have to go across, but it's definitely in a more forested area.
Probably manages to find the river, and as he's heading along, he does pass a glance to the river and to the fish, presumably hopping to and fro.
You want to do a little perception check real quick?
Sure. Okay. No, nothing to perception either. That is also a d20. 11.
You know what? Meets it beats it. It's over a 10. Yeah, so, Scratch, as you were walking along, the side of the river there to try to get to the other side of it, you notice that Cherry is now on a raft for some reason, and she is just going down the river. Straight up. And then she just gives a really happy wave at you, come on!
He kind of glances at the way the river's going, then he glances at the river, and then at the raft, and then at the river, and... Can't she roll a perception check, actually?
Yeah, we'll see how good her perception is. It's just a little +1. Yeah, it's at 15.
He kind of... as he's contemplating actually crossing over. You can kind of start to see the sweat forming as he's just being indecisive a little too long. just a little too long, as he's still following the raft along, looking a little desperate.
Her raft
a little
just kind of
confused.
bumps into like a small rock along the river.
And he immediately dives for it, just does not need to do the acrobatic leap, but whoop, just missile dives for the raft and just lands.
Yeah, you know how to live life in this. Very good.
He is shaking slightly, by the way, but he'll be fine in a second.
I know it's
He is clinging to the raft.
The river can be very intimidating. I can't remember what they call this river, but apparently it's a very important river. I definitely know a lot of history, that's for sure.
Can I roll to see if he remembers the name of the river?
Yeah, go ahead.
No! He is never... On an out one, I'm gonna joke and say he's never seen a river before in his life. Not a single time. He's just watching it. He was kind of curious about it at first, but now that he's on a raft going down it at whatever mileage they're getting, he's clinging to whatever raft she's got. Just,
I mean,
the feathers are kind of inflated. He's trying not to. He's probably clinging to the raft's little mast instead. I imagine it's like one of the rafts with like a fake little sail attached.
Yeah,
he's clinging to that.
Well, it's not too bad, not too shabby. At least this is like a lot easier. I did a raft before in another area, and there was a waterfall at the end. Can you believe that? There was a waterfall.
He just starts sweating harder at the aspect of waterfall at the end. Excuse me?
Oh, please, there isn't any waterfall in this area, though. Don't worry about it.
He does not stop sweating. He is clinging to the
map and take a look at it. She has like her nose in the map now. Like, she's not even focusing where they are going. She's just looking at the map.
He's also gonna glance at the map like, please tell me there's no waterfall. Please tell me there's no waterfall. Please,
there is
please.
no waterfall. At least not any that you can tell on the map. Because it is just a map.
Size
right?
and relief. As soon as the raft gets where they need to go, I assume further along on the scenic route, he just also dives for the land and still doesn't stop shaking for a bit.
No, she just like immediately walks off of the raft onto land near the bottom.
Yeah, he just scrambles for land and stays there and just appreciates the plant life a lot more that he's been on a river. Oh god. Oh Jesus.
Continuing the scenic route, however, instead of turning the way she's supposed to go, she turns right into Halloween Town instead. I always wanted to give this little area a try. I never know why I never have before.
He does kind of pause at around Halloween Town, and you would think, considering he was still nervous from the river earlier, he would still be nervous here. And he still has some of the jitters, but he actually doesn't look that put off by the place. He's kind of glancing around the aesthetic of it.
Oh yeah, like if you're familiar with like Nightmare Before Christmas, this is absolutely just Halloween Town straight up.
Without a doubt.
Of course, cartoon editions and everything, you know.
And he just kind of... He is following along, but he's actually more distracted by Toontown than he was by the desert. So he's more distracted by Halloween Town. I don't know why I said Toontown. My mistake.
I mean, they're kind of close by.
Close.
It's a river away.
He's actually gonna look around. Is there a particular souvenir stand that you could find for Halloween Town?
There's a couple in the area. Yep. There's definitely like a little marketplace area with a couple.
What's on sale? What's on sale?
I feel it's probably like a lot of like Halloween decorations, ideally. But they would just probably be like normal decorations in this case for whoever lives here. Probably a stall for like small pets that you could get, specifically just pet rocks.
Okay, so while Cherry is distracted with the map and other things, he's actually going to try and stealth away from her so he can peruse. So that is a +3 at 12.
I feel like I need to roll Cherry's perception just to see if she notices or not.
I mean, you can also just look at passive perception, but...
Oh, passive perception, that's true. I always forget that's a thing. Her passive perception, oh my god, she has passive perception of 11.
He beats it by 1 unless she actually actively goes looking. Like, it probably
she probably saw, like, him in the corner of her eye, but she's, like, still focusing on that map. Like, no, we should probably visit over here next, and... Okay, that would probably take me closer to EGAD, but then that would also take me there.
And then he probably sneaks away in very obvious view of whatever camera is rolling, just like, it is not a subtle sneak. He's doing, like, the Scooby-Doo tiptoe away. While he just kind of zooms like a cat toward the marketplace, because, ooh, spooky decor, hello.
He's like, my aesthetic.
Uh-huh. So... Actually, while he's glancing around, does anything in particular catch his eye? Because he would be caught by a lot.
Oh god, I didn't think this far.
I'm gonna make you work for it. Come on, come on.
I'm trying to think. There's likely gotta be a couple items, like, up for sale that would definitely be, like, not too overly pricey. But there's probably some that are stupidly pricey, and it's just like, oh, that was nice. But I sure as hell am not gonna buy it.
Yeah, that was nice until we read the price tag, and now it's just nice for a distance.
Oh yeah, no, like, you see, like, this really elegant-looking Halloween kind of sword that looks really cool, and you're like, that would actually come in handy. That would be kind of nice to have on hand, just in case. But then you look at the price tag, and it's like, way too many things of gold.
Yeah, that's a few too many zeros.
You could just hear, like, glass crack in the background. You're just like, oh. Well, my reality is shattered. Never mind. This doesn't exist anymore. Goodbye.
Yeah, it's not even worth stealing at that point if you didn't even want to pay for it. Just, like, too many zeros. No, doesn't fit with the aesthetic. No, thank you.
It's like trying to see, like, the raging, poisoning sword of doom, or what's it?
Hey, here's a fun thought. Is there any particular, dice decor nearby? Any dice on sale?
Any what now?
Dice.
Oh, dice. I would say yeah, there's gotta be some.
Cool, he's gonna gravitate a little toward that, because that seems like it would be a fun, spooky thing to bring back, and he loves dice. So, let's see. He's probably would find some that were carved from actual bones, probably would find some with the bioluminescent skulls attached, probably would find some with a bunch of beetles instead, that for some reason laugh when they're rolled. Ooh, and then there's a pair of decorative fuzzy dice that are big enough for heads. That's nice. A little pricey, but nice.
There's likely, like, a pair of dice that has, like, those tiny skulls inside of the dice.
Petals asks if Shrek dice is there.
If what dice is there?
Shrek dice?
Yes, I'm gonna say yes. Spooky Halloween Shrek dice. Terrifying. Spooky
he
friends
glances
with
at
dice
that, but
that constantly says somebody for some reason. In a very menacing tone.
Yeah, he actually avoids that one because that one slightly spooks him. Just like, nope, that's a little bit too ominous.
He just sees somebody attempt to roll it, and the noise is just catching him off guard. Like, oh, that's a little much.
Let me just roll him something to see what he finds real quick. Or at least what he gravitates toward. What does a nat 1 give him? Where does a nat 1 take him?
Well, if he's looking at like a stand full of like different kind of dice, maybe there's like a 6-sided dice that is just like, it's very simple looking, it's very basic, doesn't cost much. It's just a basic little thing. As opposed to like the more expensive one beside it that has like actual gold in it. And actually looks like extremely elegant and pretty.
He just at the simple one, and actually he seems slightly more fond of that than the gold one, as elegant and pretty as it is. Just kind of glances it over for a minute. How long do you think it would take Cherry to notice he was gone, by the way?
That's a good question. Let me roll and see.
Because if she hasn't noticed yet, he's gonna keep looking. He's just gonna...
What is your perception, Cherry? There it is. The +1. So d20 +1. Yeah, she just noticed now.
She's probably about out of town.
Like, she was probably rambling and being like, well, I also got to do this and that and... Wait, Scratch? Where did Scratch go? I'm gonna have to find him, aren't I? Well, that's another exploratory thing for me to do then.
And as she goes to look for that, it just cuts back to him, and he's probably already bought the simple dice, and he's actually going to keep looking both for the dice and for other spooky decor. He's just. Actually, he will look at the more elegant one too while he's at it. How much is that one? Pricey?
A lot. A lot. Too much for one little thing of dice.
How big is it?
Probably about the same size as the dice you just got.
Is there anybody around?
There is, in fact, a shopkeep.
Is he looking?
Yes.
We're not going to try anything while he's looking, then. We're going to put that back and keep looking. But we're going to scope out the pretty dice.
Just going to put it back and go.
Well, he's used to perusing. He's used to trying not to draw attention to the fact he's got an eye on something. Just looking like a typical customer, so he puts that back. Once he sees the price, just has a look of, pricey, and puts it back. Continues looking, though he makes mental note of where it is in his mind for later. Maybe he could try and get it before he leaves, but not right now. But, yeah, he's gonna keep looking while Cherry searches for him. And that'll be another... A 9 is probably not gonna be much in terms of... I should probably be adding investigation. Investigation is... That would be a +2, that'd be an 11.
Oh, yeah. Investigation for Cherry's terrible.
Let's see.
This is a straight D20, I believe. Yeah, it's just a straight D20. that was a 3.
She probably thinks she found him, but instead it's a Walking Dead duck tune or something.
Well, you're not Scratch.
It probably gives a honk that's the equivalent of a dying wheeze, just like, ah! And that's about it.
Okay, have a nice day. Anyway. I gotta find Scratch. What was Scratch like? If I was a Scratch, what would I want?
What would a 9 give Scratch in terms of perusing the stalls, by the way? Either for dice or something else.
What kind of
11.
Does Scratch
11.
like? I mean, I think he likes food.
He would glance around. He probably would grab a few other different kinds of dice. Probably also grabs a D&D dice set, because I imagine there's a spooky set there, and he just goes eyes toward that. You could see his eyes briefly pop out, and he stops walking for a minute, turns himself around on a wheel, and just gets it.
There's like a pumpkin-themed one, like a skeleton-themed one. It keeps going.
Oh, he get the skeleton. Actually... Quick question, since it is a spooky town, aside from skeletons, witches, werewolves, that kind of thing, is there anything else, like, possibly infernally themed? Because, I mean...
There's probably all different kinds of tunes out and about, walking around. Anything
I meant in terms of merch.
Related, there definitely would be.
Okay, so he's next actually going to go toward, he's probably going to look for a lovely drink or some sort of glass container. That would be nice. Just anything in particular that would hold a drink. Just, we're going to roll a d20 while Cherry is still looking for him. A 5 is not going to give him much. +2, not much.
He looks around. So far, there is no place to get like a cup or something, but... Thankfully, there is a place that sells buckets for some reason.
He glances at that. He probably even spots a window that does have uranium glass, but it's too pricey. Too pricey.
Expensive taste.
Yeah, no, just like he's not even going to make the effort to steal that one? No, absolutely not.
Meanwhile, I'm going to just roll for Cherry again. I guess I should roll investigation, huh?
Yeah, and he probably would go toward the food at this point because, ooh, they might have some nice food here.
They might have drinks that are already in cups.
But, gotta stretch my back.
Ooh.
But yeah, he's probably gonna look for, you know what? He's gonna look for what, in his mind, is either the most fun or the most dangerous food or drink item. So we're gonna roll another investigation check while Cherry's looking.
Okay.
So, last investigation check would be d20 +2. That is a 10.
Yeah, as far as you could tell, nothing, like, looks too out of the ordinary for you. Like, a lot of stuff definitely looks like the shape of, like, Halloween-y kind of things. Like, there's spaghetti. But there's likely gotta be something else in there. Something kind of gross, most likely.
It probably has eyeballs for meatballs instead, or something
maybe.
like that.
But there's also probably, like, sandwiches that just look like little skull heads, or just, like, like, you know, like those cheese finger things, but they just kind of look like actual fingers, but they aren't actual fingers.
The cheese fingers, sure. So what is Cherry's perception in terms of finding it here?
I just need to roll 1 second. My internet is being a little slow.
Understandable. I thought it was my internet for a moment. Apologies.
Okay.
I was like, oh, please.
Investigation. Straight D20. Gotcha.
I mean, I figured that would be perception, but investigation works.
Because, I mean, she is trying to find Scratch.
Fair. I'm very used to it being perception on my end, so it takes some getting used to for me.
Let's see what she gets. It's 11.
That's close, actually, considering his original stealth was a 12. She's close.
She probably just barely misses past. They likely pass each other without even realizing it. And she just goes, I know you gotta be close. I know it. You know you.
He's probably humming at. He's probably humming at the same time, but it's more in wonder at all the stuff he's seen. Like, And is there anything spicy for sale? Actually, he would gravitate toward the spicy. What's the spiciest thing on the menu? What's the spiciest thing that catches the eye?
I feel like there's gotta be, like, those, like, you know how there's, like, spicy chips that you can get, and they come with, like, an extra protectant in it, because the Scoville is just that high.
He's going to gravitate
There's
toward...
a bag of chips. There's a bag of chips, absolutely.
He is beelining toward that bag. Beelining. Considering the fact he's going quickly, I'm gonna roll him another stealth to see if he breaks his own stealth or if he, that is +3, so... Oh my god!
He's determined. He's determined for chips. Spicy chips.
He passes through a crowd and vanishes, and he just zooms up to whatever stall the chips are being sold and checks the price. Please don't be expensive.
It'd probably be like 1 or 2 gold at most. Like, it's, like, considering it's, like, in a little marketplace kind of thing, I have a feeling the majority of the stuff there probably doesn't cost too much, aside from, like, novelty dice and other things. Like, food is usually affordable.
He'll get that, and he'll also glance back toward the general direction where that particular dice stall was, just to scope out what's going on over there through the crowd.
Yeah, the shopkeep is still there. He's just kind of chatting with another person, but he's still looking around, being pretty alert.
The thought's in his mind, but he's not gonna make a move toward it yet. But at the moment, yeah, he's gonna get that bag, so he just has a bag of super spicy chips. That's fine. That's cool with him. He also has a handful of different dice, so I'll just add that to his inventory. So 1 bag of spicy chips, and 1 handful of dice. I'll give it plural later. It's just nice to have it written down.
Jerry's gonna look around still.
He's actually going to ask the shopkeep in Grolix Sign Language. Is there any particular place you would recommend for a tourist looking for souvenirs? Anything that might be of interest to me? It just gives his best little customer smile. He is a tourist.
That is true. He probably just kind of gives, like, a little huff and is just like, well, if you're a tourist, there is a couple houses just outside the marketplace if you want to go look at that.
Sure, could you give me directions?
Since I can't think of any directions right now, I will say that he does give you directions.
And he is going to go right for them after thanking him with another tip of gold. He just seems to be giving his gold away. It's something.
He's just being a nice little mean.
He's just being he's being a nice noodle. But yeah, he's gonna go for those houses. Hopefully Cherry doesn't miss him again.
Cherry, I swear, if you don't, I'm gonna force you to go that way. We're gonna heckin' figure this out, dang it. Okay, Cherry, let's do your investigation again.
Also, if you hear a whine in the background, one of the kitties is... Oh my god.
Cherry!
You could see Scratch sneaking along in the background as Cherry is probably asking around at one of the food stalls and nobody's seen that particular black swan.
He's just like, I'm pretty sure he's been over here. Pretty sure.
But... yeah, I suppose he just sneaks right on by and is gonna go toward the two houses I mentioned because, ooh, souvenirs? Ooh.
Mm-hmm. Of course, Cherry is gonna roll another investigation.
You're valid. You could have her go that way, just have her be oblivious. Have her be oblivious.
She's just obliviously walking there at this point. Cherry, beloved. Please.
Cherry has a DVD screensaver in her head. It's okay. It just hasn't hit a quarter yet.
Well, that's just her on a normal basis. That's totally normal. This is like if we turned off the TV altogether.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, Scratch is gonna go toward the houses. What's on sale?
Well, you go to approach the said house that this guy has supposedly said, and it doesn't look like they're selling much of anything. It just looks like a creepy house. With its gates wide open.
With the gates wide open.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna insight check that real quick to make sure he wasn't... We're just gonna roll a little... Well, actually perception. We're gonna roll perception. He can't insight check a building. That's ridiculous.
Unless the building is alive.
18! What does an 18 on perception get him?
Yeah, you got the feeling that, okay, this place definitely doesn't sell anything. They probably purposely tried to steer you there just so then they could get a good scare out of someone.
I glance at it for a minute.
They're definitely pranksters in return as well.
And you know what? Yeah, we're gonna do a coin flip because he might entertain the thought of haunted house. Yep, that's a yes. He looks at this. This is a very obvious scare. It's got the vibe. It's got the open gate. There's probably a bat flying around. He loves bats to pieces. It just kind of watches it, and it gets that very thoughtful look, like he considers going to a different house. But yeah, he's kind of like, sure, I'll bite. This is very obvious bait, but I'll bite. And he just marches right for the house.
Oh my god. Meanwhile, we're cutting back to Cherry. Cherry's still wondrously oblivious. Wandering aimlessly at this point. She's probably gonna try asking around, like, have you seen such and such? Have you seen Scratch? Have you seen him? He's about yay high. Her arm stretches way up. Like in a cartoonish way, because the logic.
And he's got like a beak like this, and he's got like teeth like this. You know.
Because I mentioned he developed the sharp teeth in terms of just eating that sandwich, but whenever he smiled at the customers or anyone else, they went back to being the normal flat cartoon teeth. So it just kind of, it's a visual change, but it's a subtle detail.
I think she's gonna see if she can roll like a perception to see if there's anything in the area that would give clues of where he's been.
I would say though,
there we go.
Nice.
Thank you.
But
Jenny.
I would say there is probably one little detail that, considering watching him eat all those hot dog cakes, is even when most of the teeth are flat, he still retains canine. You know, the sharp canine fangs somewhere? Which, not sure swans have those, but sure, we'll go with his beak having that, sure.
He's like a goose, almost.
A very strange cross. Totally a swan. Definitely a swan. But, yeah. So, considering that, Do you think she'd finally be pointed in the right direction?
I think so. I think she finds cartoonish footprints in the ground.
Yeah, just the little webbed feet-looking shape just leading up toward one of the spooky houses.
Okay. Where on earth are you going now? I know I said I was gonna do the scenic route, but we still got a place to go to.
Speaking of which, cutting back to him in the spooky house.
Oh yeah, no, you're just vibing in this house at this point.
Yeah, no, he can appreciate the aesthetic. He's looking around. He's honestly kind of waiting for the scare, but he's trying not to, like, be prepared for it, because he would know personally, if you're gonna scare somebody, it's not as fun if they look like they're expecting it. He
Unless
would
you're
look
the
around.
one scaring, which would be the whole nother story.
But while he's in the haunted house, he is just gonna look around for anything interesting. It is a completely open house, after all. You know, I doubt anything's nailed down. Just glance, curiosity.
Oh yeah, no, there's plenty of things. I mean, there's a lot of furniture with, like, the sheets on top in some rooms. Other rooms, it's just super dusty, dark. You know, it's pretty like your stereotypical haunted house.
In the area where there's a bunch of furniture covered up, are there any comfortable-looking chairs?
Oh, absolutely. There's, like, a really nice, like, armchair just off to the side. Like, the kind you would you could read a book in it and you just get super comfy.
He kind of glances at that, glances around the rest of the building. He kind of makes the hand gesture like he wants to call out, but again, he's completely silent, so he makes no noise. Just glances back over to the chair, and then he rolls up his sleeve to check the watch that miraculously has appeared there. Just kind of... He's still got time. I mean, he can't really see the sun too well in this spooky place, but he's got time, so you know what? Sure, he's been walking around a bit. He's just gonna go right for the comfiest, biggest chair and just... Even with the sheet, just...
Nice
sit. He's just gonna sploot in it. Just sploots.
He's like, I'm just gonna wait for the scares to come in.
Uh-huh.
Because clearly they're not coming quick enough. Meanwhile, Cherry's finally making it to, like, the front gate. She's like, oh,
Why would you go into a haunted house? Nothing ventured, nothing gained.
and then she's just gonna bravely walk up and knock on the door very, very loudly.
That actually does get him to jump slightly, because he was trying not to be too prepared, but the sound is not what he was expecting. But hey, maybe it's a ghost knock? But his ears caught it toward the door?
Yeah, the
on the one hand,
kind of creaks open shortly after.
He hears the creak, and you could see the split-second thought of he wants to investigate, but also, oh, this chair is super comfy, and he's been on his feet all day. He's just gonna sit. He's gonna wait. It'll come to him. If it wants to scare him, it'll get there. Closes his eyes even and just relaxes.
Cherry just kind of, like, walks in. I feel she has, like, a very, like, little child kind of feeling in regards of how she moves and everything.
Aww.
She just kind of, like, goes down the hall for a moment and looks around. And then she just begins to yell very loudly, "Scratch, are you there?"
That does actually jolt him back to eyes opening, and he just kind of glances. There's a brief, grumpy look of, God, now? And he glances toward...
I got a little something for you.
He does perk up at that and turn his head around. It's on a swivel on his neck and just kind of... He glances back toward... He glances back toward the chair for a moment. He gives it like a solemn pat and just mouths, "I'm sorry, I'll come back later," and then just goes and follows the sound and pokes his head out of the doorway.
There you are. So I managed to get a couple snacks and things for you while I was looking for you. So we could snack a little bit and chat along the way towards our destination.
Pauses for a second, but eventually nods. On the one hand, he would like to explore Spooky Town a bit more. On the other hand, it kind of feels like even if he was going to be scared, it feels like he's been led astray. So, you know what, he could probably show off what he bought on their way out. So he's going to nod, and he's going to start going toward the door.
Okay.
I'm sure they're back on the road again, finally going through.
Was wholeheartedly expecting it to shut in our faces. I was wholeheartedly expecting that.
Oh, no, this is, that house is more on ambiance. There's gotta be different kind of spoofs. It's not just in-your-face kind of stuff.
He nods, but yeah, he probably would show off the spicy bag he got. He would show off the dice he bought.
Oh, you got those chips. I was debating those, but I wasn't sure if you like spicy things or not.
He nods a lot more vigorously, like spice, 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 spice. Yes.
Oh. I never tried these ones. I kind of want to try.
He actually does. He firstly holds up his flask and he signs, "Do you have water?"
She's gonna pat herself down to check.
Incorrect answer. Do you have milk?
She is still patting herself down, trying to see if she has anything. She pulls out a little potion bottle, and on the label it says, "Potion of get his ass."
He actually does glance at that and signs, "What's that do?"
She looks at it and she goes, "Well,
I'm not entirely sure, actually. Oh well, I'll just put it back.
He nods, but
I don't have any drinks.
He's gonna feel himself over, and he pulls up, for a split second it does look like he pulls up a water flask, but just out of the corner of the... Actually, that'll be a perception check, because it's on the other side where she's not, so just a perception check from Sherry.
Perception is a +1.
Because he's got 2 flasks, but he pulled up the second one, so... Yeah, she would probably notice that for a split second she would see, like, a couple of X's on the label of that one before he would quickly put it back and reach for the normal water flask. Listen, I giggle juice. I don't know if prohibition's in effect. He wouldn't be open about it, but it's just like, oh, don't want to give the cherry alcohol, especially not with the spicy thing. So
yeah, have you seen a Roger Rabbit try some of that? Yeah, I do not recommend. I really don't.
Well, we'll get to shenanigans about that in a different one, but not right now. But basically, yeah, he would pull up a water flask and he'd hand it to her because he doesn't need the water where he's going. He's so used to spice. And he signs, "Do you want to try one now while we're walking?"
Yeah.
and he nods, and he actually goes to just he pulls it open. He doesn't pop it because that's foolish. Fools are the ones that pop spicy bags open. And he actually it probably comes up with like fumes, almost like hellfire, and he just takes a big whiff of that and he just gets a look of bliss. Spicy food has the best smell to him.
Spicy food beloved.
God, he probably reaches in and just for theatrics, it probably sounds like there's almost burning in there before he pulls up just this jet black chip and holds it out to her.
Oh yeah, she kind of like pinches at the corner of it to hold it. She looks excited to eat it, and she just takes like a very tiny like lick with her tongue. And immediately fire. She kind of just it's like wheezing out fire from all that. And then she kind of coughs for a second and tries to
Delicious.
He's just open mouth laughing, but again, it's just the wheezing sound. The real laughter isn't there. He just slaps his knee.
I mean, if you want it, I think this will last me for quite a while.
Just nods and he just casually pops in a chip. I am gonna roll him a con save just for funsies.
Oh my god.
He likes spice, but we'll see how well he handles it. Okay, so that's +3. He puts it in,
confident.
And then he walks with a swagger, and then there's just this pillar of fire as his head briefly turns into a dragon's head. Just a plume of flame all the way down the road before his head turns back to normal.
I think you just gotta take it easy and do it one at a time. Or one.
He
one
nods.
And one at multiple time.
He does nod. As he opens his mouth, a bit more fire gets out, so he just covers it, and he still continues to occasionally snack on that as you're walking, and he just keeps on occasionally just spitting fire and smoke. He doesn't even go for any drinks or anything. He just keeps going. It's incredible.
Like that stuff, don't you?
Nods. He opens his mouth to try and say something, but it's silence and also fire. Oh, goodness. He would try to glance at the map, but knowing he's been breathing fire for a minute, he tries not to open his mouth near it.
Oh yeah, if he gets anywhere close with the map in his head, she'll just try to, like, steer clear so that he can see without getting it caught in fire. At least now they're actually walking on the right track.
So far, so good. Shall it be another survival check?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so... I'm also having cinnamon tea as we're doing this, so ignore that.
It's
that
the
is...
spicy chips taking effect.
Oh no, I think the spicy chips would have killed the cinnamon flavor a long time ago. Oh, a 7 probably means we're lost again.
Oh, yeah, I know the way pretty dang well. So,
She begins walking through, like, the jungle. You're definitely, like, in jungle territory. You were told that EGAD would be in a jungle. But, she doesn't stop there. She actually goes past it. Very much past it on the map.
I'm gonna roll to see if he notices or if he's still focused on the whole breathing fire bit. So that is, yeah, just straight D20. Nope. As he's about to notice, he can feel like the spicy burp when he eats something too spicy, and he feels that coming up. So he turns his head up and just breathes a plume of fire into the sky instead. This time it's green, which is fun. He glances to make sure that didn't, set any of the jungle on fire before continuing. Quietly puts in another chip.
Oh yeah, no, it probably didn't catch anything on fire, thankfully. Because, haha, toon logic.
Even though he's kind of sweating at this point, he does sign, so how close are we to getting there?
We're not too far. Because I believe right now we are just outside of Jinx's Landing.
And then signs just outside of what?
Jinx's Landing. This is a little town.
And he just kind of
but
nods at that.
Out there.
And he just nods at that. He glances toward the bag. There's still a decent amount left, so he rolls that up, puts it in his bag, and... Could Cherry roll a... Is Cherry focused on the map, or will she need to roll a perception check?
She can roll a perception.
Cool, because he tries to make it subtle, so I'll actually try and roll stealth for that, +3, but... Well, no, that would be sleight of hand. That would be sleight of hand.
Well, let's
sleight
not
of hand.
Do much, because Cherry has a 4. Cherry, beloved.
Much better. It's probably obvious, but she misses it. He actually, once he puts the bag away, he takes a glove off, revealing these monochromatic gray paws with these relaxed claws visible, and just, exchanges those gloves because they have the spicy dust on them, and you don't want to touch yourself with those. Don't want to touch the eyes and the mouth or anything. And pulls out a pair of clean black gloves and puts them back on, and his hands go back to looking like normal bird tune hands.
Oh my gosh.
He just glances to make sure Cherry didn't see that, and then continues on his way.
Yeah, she's too busy looking around.
And he's been like, well, we could do this at Jinx's Landing as well. We could probably visit, their little town. Supposedly they got, a really cool temple thing, but I was told we shouldn't go up there because it's probably really dangerous. So I probably won't go up there, maybe. At least not today. We should probably be really close to EGAD now.
Science, yeah, I probably wouldn't want to. Not too fond of visiting religious places. A bit too hoity-toity for my tastes.
I just heard that there was, some kind of commotion about monkeys and curfews. Nah.
Monkeys and what?
I don't know. I heard about the story about it, but I don't know what happened, so... Maybe it's just, a myth or something.
Shrugs. And meanwhile, even though she is leading toward EGAD, he is going to glance toward the map because he wants to plan out where he's going next, because he doesn't think he'll be staying at EGAD. yet. So it's planning out the next step of, okay, so we're
to EGAD, definitely.
And he's just gonna plot out whatever town is next. He may go back to Jinx's Landing and go from there. But he just kind of glances it over, again, craning his head over her head and stem, and just kind of nods, and then goes back to where he was.
Yeah, I'd say that you guys kind of finally make your way to EGAD.
By then, he has at least stopped breathing fire.
Oh, yeah, and it's, like, definitely towards the nighttime by now.
Watches the colors of the sun setting as the stars start to dot the sky. I imagine it's really pretty over the jungled environment and the EGAD building.
Across it, you also see, like, this large manor. None of the lights are on, though. So it doesn't look like anybody's home currently. Or if somebody is home, they're probably sleeping. There
is a brief moment where there's just an analytic look as he's trying to scope out whether that's just... he is not used to seeing mansions except for the bourgeoisie, and he wasn't told there was a mansion out here in the middle of the jungle. So, just kind of...
Mind you, there's no other buildings that, as far as you guys have seen, at least in this little area.
He kind of taps Cherry's shoulder and points at that.
I don't know. Maybe somebody lives out here? I don't know. Maybe this EGAD guy has something here. I don't think this is the hideout, though, because supposedly it's supposed to be like a tree? I mean, there's a lot of trees, but...
Any signs maybe we could ask for directions? To the tree?
She kind of thinks for a moment. She looks back at the map. She looks back up at Scratch. She looks back at the map.
We can figure it out. I think we can do this. We got this far.
He is to reach down, and he's going to try and pick her up by the back of her shirt.
You want to try? She's a nimble little character.
He's gonna try. I believe that's a strength check, right?
I'll say that, or like sleight of hand, whichever one you feel.
Sleight of hand is probably the better one, so... Well, I say that, and that's probably gonna jinx the roll. So, you know what? Sure, let's go for strength. Why not? It's a -1, but sure. I'm willing to gamble. Let's bet on it.
Okay, that's...
Not bad, actually.
Let's roll her acrobatics. Because she's probably, like, well aware of this. Which, she is actually pretty dang good with her acrobatics.
I try not to say that aloud because I know that'll just jinx me if I do it. Yeah.
Yeah. You attempt to pick up this cherry by the scruff, but then she just, like, very narrowly, like, avoids it. And she's like, well, hold on.
Listen, we made it this far. I can feel it. We're not that far from it. You made it this far. We got to do a lot of things today.
But he also signs, it's also getting dark out, and there might be other animals in the jungle here.
Oh, of course, there's gotta be all different kinds of animals. I mean...
Like, tigers?
I mean, aren't you an animal?
Jaguars? And he kind of pauses for it, and then just gives her this unamused look.
I mean that in the most sincere way. I mean, I'm just a cherry. A little cherry on top, if you will.
Well, let's hope we don't run into any big birds that like cherries, then.
Oh, we should be fine.
She's just gonna blindly walk along the road down towards the headquarters.
And he just glances back toward the big building and is just... there's the thought in the back of the mind of gonna scope that out later. Just like the thought in the back of the mind of he's eventually gonna get the expensive dice from that stall. One of these days.
One day.
One of them. One day. Or he might not, but it's gonna...
If it wasn't for this little cherry being so persistent.
If it wasn't for that shopkeeper staying near it so much. But... he misses out on pilfering things all the time. He'll miss one dice. It was expensive anyway. Besides, he's got a handful of others, and he's just gonna quietly look at those and just test out rolls in his hand while they're going along, just to occupy himself.
She just kind of like walks over like this log bridge across like this small river. She constantly walks through a lot of different things. vines, leaves, you name it. There's probably a couple branches in the way, so she kind of just, like, bends them so they're out of her face, but doesn't recognize that you are also behind her.
They smack directly into his neck and head, and you can almost hear the ah! And as they smack into his throat.
She doesn't notice, she's just like, okay.
So, if I am looking at the map correctly, this has to be just down this road.
I accidentally rolled the dice to the audience chat. We're gonna ignore that.
That's okay, we can ignore it, it's okay.
And he notes which dice rolled better than the others, but he's gonna give them all a chance, puts them back in the bag, and as he's following along, he's kind of getting a bit more miffed and a bit more scuffed up by what she's putting out of her way and tossing directly into his, but he's keeping his temper in line. He just takes some deep, quiet breaths.
She's oblivious, you can't help she can't help it.
She's oblivious, and he's trying to remain in good spirits, despite the fact it is probably
assuming that he's also making sure that they aren't in his way either.
Yeah, but he is keeping an eye on the fact it is very much night now, and yeah, he's just gonna keep an eye out in case anything starts stalking after them, because jungles at night are not fun.
Any woods at night is never fun. I'm just gonna roll a straight 20. Okay, yeah, I would say at this point, you guys finally see a tree, but it's not like any other tree. This tree is probably about 10 times bigger than any other tree you've seen in this jungle for the past while. In fact, this one has, like, a bit of a house kind of on it. There's a boat kind of incorporated into some parts of it as it being a treehouse. And there's a bright yellow light towards the front door.
He kind of glances in confusion at the fact there's a boat, because this is presumably suspended in the air. Why would it need a boat? But
hold on, I got a reference I can share.
At the same time, he's also glancing back, kind of where they came from, and back to the tree, just in that silent thought process of, how did we not see this from a distance? How did we miss this from afar?
She just shrugs.
I mean, it's a jungle, Scratch. You gotta take a look around. See, a lot of trees look the same, you know.
And he's going to sigh, and he actually is going to let some of the just wear and tear go through of just like, he's had the fun exploring, but at the same time it's like, well, now you've smacked a bunch of trees in his face. We've been through a desert place, we've been through a town, we've been through Halloween Town. Just, there was also the river. He was not fond of the river, but he doesn't say anything or sign anything, obviously. He just kind of...
He's just like...
He actually gestures for her to go toward the door. He actually doesn't approach the door. He kind of stays back for some reason.
She kind of just gently looks over her shoulder like,
well, come on. You may as well come on in, too. You said you wanted the place to rest up, right?
He kind of nods, but he's gesturing for her to knock first. Just kind of... And he stays back toward the shadow, just kind of smiles and nods.
She definitely knocks, and immediately the door opens up.
Oh. Well, that's pretty welcoming. Well, come on. Don't just stand there.
And his head kind of straightens up, and he's a bit less confident than he was earlier. Just sort of modestly walks toward the house and just sticks his neck and head in, just cautious.
It is a bright and cozy place, honestly. There's been a good handful of people staying at this treehouse currently. Not too many just yet, but definitely a few that are likely reading some books, likely talking and hanging out in little spaces of the area. There's a staircase that goes upstairs, presumably to other rooms and other places to rest in and to relax in. And, of course, in the main room, coming just out of this little office space, is an old man with a pith helmet.
Just looking around. He doesn't notice the old man immediately. He's not exactly overwhelmed, but he's looking at all the bright lights and the implied spaces and everything, and he just kind of reaches down and adjusts his bow with a swallow, just kind of nervous for reasons. Just, Oh, he hopes there's not too many people here. And then he looks and notices the old man.
Yeah, he walks up to you and he just kind of gives like a gentle wave.
Scratch kind of glances down and also waves. This is a bit less of a confident wave than he gave Cheery. That much would be noticeable to Cheery, at least. It's just a little wave.
This old man, he actually takes a moment to, like, pat his pockets, realizes, oh, okay, hold on. And he goes to roll for the thing. Oh, wait, no, that's not what I wanted. I wanted a D10. My God.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Pull up a fumble space, God.
Is it the hammer space? Is it hammer time?
Yeah, it's the hammer space. Hold up. Hammer space. Here we go. Okay. What do you got in your pockets, old man?
If he has a dance outfit, I'm gonna cackle. If he has the dance outfit.
Okay, that's a straight up 20. He has wheeled boots coming out of this old man's pocket. And he kind of shakes his head. No, that's not it. And tosses it aside. We're gonna check it. We're gonna try again. Okay, that's better. That's much better. He pulls out this little notepad and a pencil. Oh, wait, no. Oh, that's right. It has to... I'm thinking... That's right. So he doesn't pull it out yet. We still gotta do a fumble chart. So let me just pull that sheet back up real quick. That's a 2. He pulls out a bunch of bananas. He is tempted... He likes it. But he tosses that aside because he's like, no, not right now. He's gonna continue trying to pull something out of his pocket here. He's still going, so we're gonna do that again. This time he pulls out a live octopus from his pocket.
After that fumble,
pauses
Scratch
and looks at it and is like, what are you doing in my pocket?
Can Scratch actually try to reach around in his own hammer space? Just to see if he can find it on accident?
Yeah, you can try.
Okay, what are we rolling for it?
So to roll hammer space, you'll have to roll a d10. If you get a natural 1, then you definitely won't get the item. But if it's anything above that 1, then it should be fine.
He actually reaches in and as he's seeing the old man, look through his pockets, there's the octopus, there's the wheeled boots, which his brain just translates as skates. Skates.
This is too
bananas. Silly. And he just...
There we go. He finally pulls it out, probably about at the same time as you do.
At the same time as Scratch actually also pulls out a pencil and paper.
He pulls out his notepad. Oh.
Scratch sees that and then just also quietly puts the pencil and notepad that he pulled up back into hammer space.
And he begins writing down, and he kind of hands over the notepad. And it says, my apologies, I unfortunately cannot use my voice, but hello! I'm Oliver D. Thomas, but you can just call me Ollie. Did you two come here for EGAD? Explorers of Animated Discoveries?
He reads the name, and I'm gonna roll him something. Because there's a moment where before he reads over the thought, there's a moment he almost looks like he wants to shake his head no, but we're gonna roll a... Yeah, so we're gonna say d20 plus 2.
That's a 9.
And he's just going to... He gestures no, but then he points to Cheery, and instead of writing down, he is going to hand the paper back, and he's going to sign Grolix. Hopefully Ollie can understand it better than Cheery can. Just, well...
You know some Grolix, yeah.
She might be interested in that, but I am just interested in a place to stay for the night before I happen to move on toward wherever the next place is. And he just smiles tiredly.
He just kind of gives, like, the silent laugh. Like a chuckle. Like, oh. And Cherry's kind of, like, pipes up, like,
yeah, it's me! And we get to be here for a little bit. I wanted to inquire about how one would join such an establishment. Place, group, club, like this. And if you can maybe convince my friend here, because I feel like he needs something, but I'm not sure what it is.
he tries to shake his head, and this is gonna be a flat out lie. He's just gonna try and no, he doesn't eat anything. Totally not. Totally not. He doesn't. That's
you can probably want some
he tries.
sometime.
That is a 16 on deception as he tries to shake his head and sign a bit faster.
He's just gonna like shrug at it, like I'm not gonna focus on that part.
Yeah, he just tries to sign. No, listen, I just want to stay for one night and move on. I absolutely do not need anything from this place. I promise. And he tries to give his best smile. So if Ollie does try to insight check that is a 16 he'd have to beat. Or either of them would.
He's not gonna focus on that part. He's just like, okay, hold on. He writes down, well, this would be the place to join, yes. This area is definitely welcome for any guests as well, if you want to stay for the night. We got some beds up in one of the higher floors if you want to check those out. We don't really have any way to properly join anybody, but there may be some membership cards? I haven't been focusing on giving these out to everybody, but if you want one, you can take one.
And does he offer them, I'm assuming?
He just kind of like half-handedly gestures to like a little table on that main floor that has like pamphlets and what have you that properly explain what this group is all about.
Yes, probably grab a pamphlet, but not a card, not yet. He just grabs the pamphlet, but then he just tucks tucks it into the pocket of his vest, and he signs to Ollie. Would you be able to escort us to the guest rooms? I am so tired.
Oh yeah, if he's signing, I know Ollie still needs to learn how to sign himself. But I feel like Toon Logic he probably could at least understand.
He doesn't understand. If he doesn't understand, Scratch will switch to Method B. So let's see how that roll goes, I'm assuming?
Because I'm just thinking, because like, Ollie still needs to learn how to do his own sign language. He has a very specific friend who may be able to help in the near future. I'll just roll a d20 for him. Okay, yeah, he probably like half-handedly understands if it's like in a charade sort of manner, because I can imagine some Grolix is probably very like charade based.
Yeah.
Like if like if you're talking about a person, you would try to imitate that person. In terms of appearance-wise and everything. You know, like in a very Scooby-Doo kind of way.
Yeah, and he presumably is trying to imitate tired, sleep, bed, please.
He just nods, yes. And he kind of gives like the little wave, like, well, come on, follow along.
He does, while of course noting how the place looks, any possible escape routes, and just every little detail that he can.
There's quite a lot of open windows. There's a lot of rooms. Different spaces. For example, this one I have a reference of. There's like a little nook to hang out in. Very relaxing,
posted in the
honestly.
Dice channel. That was posted in the Dice channel.
Oh yeah, no, I intend that.
And yeah, he just glances around, and there is an appreciation for the kitsch aesthetic that this place has going on.
There's like a small kitchenette as well on that floor. Going further up, there's finally that bedroom area that he was speaking of. It has like a bunch of bunk beds, but there are like some little nooks and crannies like underneath the staircase that goes further up that does have like some like one like just regular beds, not stacked up or anything.
Comfiest looking place. What's the comfiest looking one?
Honestly, sometimes the bunk beds kind of speak out a little bit more. At least, like, the bottom tier of them do.
Yeah, he's probably gonna go for one of those, and in the back of his mind, he kind of hopes Cherry does not go for the same room. Just slightly. But Cherry yeah, he's gonna...
She kind of wanders up. She's like, this looks pretty nice.
He nods, but also just immediately flops over onto the bottom bunk. Another spoon. Already. He kind of slightly more tirely signs, I just want to rest my back for a minute. I have had bad posture all day. Ugh.
Oh, jeez. Probably get that checked, maybe.
No, I'm fine. I promise I'm fine. It's just it's scoliosis. It's scoliosis. We're fine.
Scoliosis? That must be some pretty bad scoliosis then.
You have no idea. But he signs over to Ollie. How much is it to stay for one night? How much is it to pay?
Yeah, how much is it to pay, old man? Ollie, was it?
Ollie just kind of like pauses and he begins to write in the book. Well, there isn't really a fee to join or to stay. Honestly, I haven't thought about too many guests coming here anyway, so you're welcome to stay as many days as you want. Just try to keep things clean. Just try to be respectful about other people staying as well, and we should be all fine.
Would you be able to point me out toward the kitchen?
He writes it. Well, yes. Currently, we only just have a little kitchenette, just a floor or two below for where we're standing right now. But I do plan to eventually try to update this little area, so hopefully we can have a little bit more space and other areas to have some food and what have you. It took a lot just to build this on my own, you know.
Your own? And he signs that with an impressed but also surprised look. Just kind of sits up a bit, which looks sore for a second as he adjusts his posture. Goes, ow, straightened up too quick. Ah!
He just kind of looks bashful, like, oh, you. It's nothing.
Did it take you? Building all this on your own? And how much did it cost?
He kind of like, a little ... He writes on, well, I haven't really thought about price-wise. I haven't really had any problems with that. I had to sell a couple things, but that's okay. They covered it pretty nicely. That usually it was like more simple items that weren't gonna be very harmful or anything. At least that would be pretty good. I honestly just did it most of my own. I did get some help from a couple friends though. It's kind of been a project of mine for the past couple of while.
Well, it looks like a very nice project. You did very good, you and your friends. And he just kind of nods at that.
Yeah, it's very big. You know, how does an old man just do this all by himself, though?
And he signs, he just said that he had friends helping him, too.
Well, he said the majority of it is him, is it?
Yes, that is a good question. I'm assuming he had something helping him.
He writes down, well, I did have some tools at hand, so to speak, but majority of it was just me. I did majority of the work on my own.
He does kind of nod at that, and he just sort of... I didn't describe it quite before, but the bag where he has most of his stuff in isn't like a bag, like a backpack or anything. It is literally like one of those bags on a stick that runaways will have. You know the kind. So he just sets the stick aside with the heavy bag.
The poor man bag.
It's just the poor circus drifter bag. Just sets it against a nightstand. He doesn't untie it. He just sets it there and, make sure it's not going to fall. But then he goes, well, thank you for letting us stay here. If Sherry has any questions, I'm certain she will be happy to ask you. I'm just going to stay here for a night, get myself some good food, get myself some good sleep. Heavens knows the last time I had that. And then I'll be on my way by tomorrow. You shouldn't expect me to stay for the morning. And he just smiles and nods, just the most courteous.
Ollie just kind of pauses and writes down, are you in a hurry to go anywhere?
Oh god, that's going to be a slight another deception roll as he's trying to just slightly cover his anxiety. So that's...
That's a 10.
Not as great. That's a 10. So he kind of sweats a bit more. Not sure if it's the remainder of the chips that he had earlier and saved, or if it's just, he could just be sweating. Could just be a hot room. But he just kind of smiles and he opens his mouth as if to laugh, but not even the wheeze comes out. It's just like a sort of almost just an empty expression, except he doesn't mean for it to be empty. There's clearly meant to be a laugh there, as he just sighs, no, I'm not in any hurry to get anywhere. I just don't expect to stay here too long. Don't want anybody, nosing into my business, and I don't want to nose in anybody else's business. I don't want to be a bother, don't want to be a burden. The sooner I get out, the better. Did I say burden? I didn't say burden. Absolutely not. We're fine. We're fine.
Ollie just kind of just gently nods, and he begins writing a lot more. And he kind of writes down, like, well, I don't think you would be to anybody here. First of all.
It's a very tight smile, but it's an attempt at a smile. An attempt. Meanwhile, Cherry could probably see that his eyes are just slightly darting around the room, but he's fine. Totally, he's fine. He's fine. Totally fine.
Oh, 1 second.
Take your time. Ignore the yawns. I'm definitely not tired. I'm definitely fine. I'm awake. I'm good to go. But I have another sip of tea while we wait.
There we go. Didn't want too much noise in the moment.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, Ollie, he takes a moment to write up. He's like, well, I don't think anybody's gonna see you as a burden. You seem to be bringing in a good politeness towards the place already. And we honestly are always welcoming people, no matter who or what they are. No matter how experienced or inexperienced they may be with traveling and exploring. And finding artifacts, what have you. I wouldn't call myself perfect either.
He does kind of stall for a moment, just as the eyes glance aside. There's a moment where his expression kind of drifts and the hands slow as he was about to sign something else, and he kind of clasps the hands closed instead, just together, like, nope, not gonna sign that. It's fine, we don't need to say anything. We're fine. We're fine. He tries to smile, but it's not as convincing the next time around, even with the 15.
He kind of writes.
He's resisting the urge to talk.
You are welcome to stay here as long as you need, okay? I can't stress enough, honestly, nobody here is perfect. I mean, I got 1,000 curses on me. So...
He starts to sign...
That would be 2 of us, if you're so inclined.
He kind of starts to sign something else. He starts signing just to... well, I appreciate the offer, but I really should... I'm sorry, 1,000?
He nods, yes. And he does he has like a bright smile on his face, mind you.
And he actually does smile too, in spite of the fact it's a curse he's talking about, and just asks kind of he jokingly asks, have you considered applying for a world record? I'm sure that breaks the previous one.
He kind of gives us that silent laugh again and writes down, well, at this point, I'm pretty sure I have lost count of how many I've actually picked up. It's kind of a habit of mine.
For real, you could get that in a Guinness World Record book. I don't think anybody would mind.
Oh,
and
yeah,
he does kind of laugh.
At this point.
yeah,
the fact that this man is still standing is still a mystery.
Yeah, that's just, he does glance at that thought because, again, in the back of his mind is just 1,000 curses, and how exactly do those even manifest? But he doesn't ask aloud. Still, he signs a bit slower afterward. I really do appreciate your interest, but really, my problems are my own. I can't ask anybody else to look into them, even if their specialty is finding. I just came here because he almost, that'll be a perception check on Cherry's part, he almost signs a different word, but then signs acquaintance instead.
Perception, let's see what she did. Perception. That's a 12.
12 actually will beat it. He almost started the Grolic sign for friend, and instead went with acquaintance.
She has like the big puppy eyes. She's like, oh, honey.
And he just signs my acquaintance here was definitely interested in this place, but
Oh,
while
yeah,
I am
I'm
very much...
definitely interested in this place. But also, Scratch, you gotta consider, you get some nice food here, you can get some nice sleep here, and we could do that together, and I mean, I know there's a lot of burden and things I don't know about. Don't get me wrong. I know everybody's got their own thing to deal with. You know, that's a whole thing. But, so don't you think it would be more fun having another friend around? It's less lonely.
You know, roll a perception check. Roll me a perception check. Let's see how that goes.
Perception. I mean, if she's...
Persuasion. I meant persuasion. Yeah.
18, baby!
She can kind of see he wrings his hands together, and there's a brief moment where his thumb brushes by the hem of the glove and briefly shows the... It would have to be towards someone's perception, but it briefly glimpses what's underneath before it goes back to looking like a typical gloved hand, and just kind of... He sits there a little sheepishly and glances from her to his bag, and his expression isn't too readable, but those pie-cut eyes just kind of think. And I'm gonna roll him a d20 real quick.
So, Scratch, what do you think? I mean, if you really feel sure you don't want to stay, then, you know, don't let me stop you, but I do like having friends along the way, too, you know?
Glances from her over to Ollie, and he then signs toward Ollie. Do you think we could talk later, privately? If I stay longer than a
smile, and he gives a nod, yes.
And he nods, and after another thoughtful pause, signs, well, I have been on the road for a while. I haven't exactly stayed in a good bed like this in a bit, and it is nice not having the wind billowing at my back when I try to sleep.
Yeah? And we
But
can make some more friends here, too.
I doubt that, but he signs, I doubt that, but I appreciate your hope and enthusiasm for it.
Well, you found me.
You found me! He corrects her like, you found me! I cannot stress enough. You spotted me first.
I just noticed you, and I just went, maybe I can make a friend. So here we are.
Well, not everybody is... Not everybody is as friendly as you under certain circumstances, and you seem like a ray of sunshine. I'm not entirely certain how everybody else here is. And he says that, still looking polite.
Well, as you say, you can't always be friends with everybody, but it's worth a shot.
He smiles, but it's a slightly nervous smile, and it doesn't take a perception check to see that. He's definitely skittish about something.
Scratch, I'll hold on to your hand as much as you need, okay?
I don't need hand-holding. I'm not 12.
Oh, please. You don't have to be a kid to hold hands.
And this time it actually does get a slightly irritated look. He's been keeping polite for the most part, but there's a brief irritation of, don't patronize me here.
I mean, you can't be like a... Well, I know you're older than me, but what I mean is I'm by your side. You know, I don't have to touch you if you're not comfortable, but that's what I mean.
Pauses and then nods, and the irritation goes away to it. That still nervous but pleasant smile of, sure, for now, sure. But
yeah.
he does continue saying, Ollie, for real, how much do we have to pay to stay if we're not enlisted yet?
He just written down, well, you don't have to pay anything. Honestly, I'm not running a business. It's just kind of more of a hobby, a side gig kind of thing, just for fun. I don't really look into having people spend their gold here. It's, I'd rather than spend it somewhere's good.
I'm sorry, the treehouse is a hobby?
Oh, yes. I mean, his original thing is just going out and exploring and finding artifacts and things on his own. His life is adventure.
No, that was Scratch asking, I'm sorry, the treehouse is your hobby?
You're right, well, not... I'm slipped into Cherry's voice, God.
Yeah.
Cherry, no. You need to step down for a second. I'm sorry, my friend.
Cherry's everybody's friend.
Yeah.
Even Scratches as much as he doesn't want to admit it immediately.
But no, Ollie, he kind of just writes down, well, yes and no. I've been working on this little project for a while. It's just kind of been something I've been always wanting to do. New beginnings and all that. I've had some stuff on my mind recently. So I thought this would be a good project to start with. Just to open up, get to know some more folks, and explore and see what else is out there.
I guess that also makes two of us, whether I like it or not. And this smile is still sheepish, but it's not as nervous.
And he kind of just gives like a silent chuckle, kind of pats him on the shoulder, and then he begins to write again. I can assure you, it's not going to be too bad. If you are nervous about a lot of things, I'm going to make sure that at least some journeys aren't going to be difficult. I know that I have the tendency to go for more things challenging than what some people can do. But I will do it to whatever you are comfortable on going on expeditions for. And and all sorts of things.
He does actually, he kind of reaches forward and very, very gently, very delicately actually just sets his fingers on Ollie's just to pause his writing for a minute and starts signing. The difficulty of the expeditions themselves is not my problem. Problem might not be the best word. It is more the people. It is specifically the people. The difficulty of the tasks is not the thing that worries me. It is the people.
He just gently begins writing down, well, if you have any questions or if you just want somebody to be at your side during all this, I have no problems coming along as well. Of course, majority of these things I likely will be, since I am kind of hosting these little outings, but I can guarantee that a good chunk of the goal with this whole club, this whole thing here, this guild, if you will, everybody needs to be open-minded. Everybody is different in regards of how they look, where they come from, and what kind of tune they are. You know, sometimes some members aren't even tunes. Sometimes they may be a Muppet-born, or a real kind.
As he's describing that bit by bit, could Cherry roll a perception check?
Yeah, she can roll one. Heck, and her perception. That's an 8.
She doesn't notice anything.
She's just too absorbed into his she's just eagerly waiting to see what this writing is, so she can read it.
You want to roll one for Ollie?
Ollie could do it. I don't have a sheet up right now, but I'll just do a d20. Yeah, he doesn't notice. He's too busy writing.
He's too absorbed. He is too absorbed.
He's still writing down what he wants to say, which is just a kind of a pep talk to say, well, hey, you know, dealing with other people, it can be tough. Not everybody's going to be your friend, but at least I will assure you this is meant to be more of a safe space for any kind of tune who shows up, even if you're not a tune. This place is to be open-minded for a lot of tunes, so, you know, the goal is to keep that respect here, and to make sure that you feel just as welcome as anybody else. Because that's kind of what matters.
He does smile back at Ollie at that, wringing his hands together, and at that point he's adjusted his posture that he's kind of sitting crisscross in the bunk bed. Mm-hmm. So the noodly swan legs are actually crossed with each other, but he kind of nods and signs. Well, depending on how long I stay, I suppose we'll see what happens. But I would... Not tonight, of course, but maybe in the morning or whenever you're not busy, I would like the two of us to have a private chat.
Right,
And
of course.
we'll...
I might be a little busy with some expeditioning here and there, but you're welcome to tag along if you feel comfortable to. There's usually postings just on one of the other floors. Sometimes we leave them up on here with the bulletin board. And, of course, keep in mind as well, again, the space is meant to be open. So you're welcome to stay or go as much as you want.
Just glance over to Cherry for a moment, and I'm gonna roll him something. I'm gonna roll him a coin flip, actually. Okay. And he nods at that. And he goes, well, maybe find me the next time that you're not busy and it's not the dead hours of the night, and we could have a chat over a drink, perhaps. Because before I even consider the idea of joining an exploration guild, which does sound tempting, I will be honest, and he does give Cherry a look at that, as well as Ollie. Because it is a thought, he is considering it, but he's considering it for different reasons. It still sounds fun, but he continues signing. But in the meantime, I'm certain Cherry would as well, we would both like to get adjusted, get relaxed. I would like to have a proper meal in my system instead of just chips and hot dog cake. And his hand starts to get a little... but he starts citing to her, but they were cakes. You can't just... They are cakes that are shaped like hot dogs.
Well, yes, they're shaped, but they're still hot dogs. They're one of my favorite snacks from there. It's not a big thing for other places.
He looks slightly exasperated, but he gives up on that particular persuasion.
Trust me, I know that place like the back of my hand. I grew up in that place.
And he just playfully signs, that would explain a lot. But then continues with, I'm certain it will take us some time to adjust, and again, depending on how our talk goes, I'm not entirely certain whether I will stay compared to Miss Cherry here.
Oh, I'm definitely staying. I could get used to this.
He smiles at that, and the hands continue. But I appreciate you letting us stay here, and I appreciate you talking this out. It really is quite nice of you.
Ollie just gives a gentle nod, and he continues writing. I'm glad to hear it. Again, if you have any things you want to look into, I'm more than happy to take some time out of my day to try to talk with you and see what we can do from that point on. I know that there's a lot of people that are still figuring things out. I'm not going to name names right now. They can open that up on their own terms. But I feel like there's other people that could definitely use the help as well. And if you're able to bring a hand as well, I'm sure that help will bring back to you.
He hesitates, but he does nod at that. He tries to smile a bit brighter, but even as comforted as he is, there's still that slight tense look, just the subtlest little tension, but he's accepting it for the most part.
Well, I guess I'll leave you to it. Again, if any questions, you may ask me as much as you want. I'll also be just in my house, just a little down the road from there.
What house?
Is that the manor thing?
Ollie shakes his head.
Rich? Sorry, you're rich?
Oh, he waves his hand. No. So.
He points toward the direction of presumably where the mansion would have been, just through, I assume there's a window of some kind. Just tries to point the direction of back to Ollie, just looking,
Well, there's a little deck area that kind of goes outside if you want to go back downstairs. So you probably poke up your head out and you're just there? You can barely see the roof above the leaves? Hello?
Yeah, points toward that, that? That's your house?
He nods happily, yes.
you can see that the shoulders sink, and there's a moment where he just sort of signs both in exasperation and humor. Well, we can see why he called this a hobby now.
He writes down, yes, I have a lot of tendencies to explore and to find a whole bunch of things. Some of which are less preferred for other tunes, for other people. But hey, somebody's gotta do it.
His expression is, again, unreadable, but he nods. And while he has a whole lot to process involved the fact this guy has the big effing house that's currently sitting down the road, he just kind of goes back to the bunk room, because while he would make himself a meal, he kind of wants to lay back and straighten his back out still, because,
Oh, yeah. I think from there, he just kind of gives you, like, a wave, like, okay, I'm gonna head on out. You guys get comfy. And Cherry she flops onto, like, the bunk bed above you.
There is a brief look of unamusement of, why this bunk? He doesn't sign it, he just has the face of, oh.
She just kind of pokes her head from above there, and she's like, so, do you think we could be bunk buddies? I mean, if you don't want to be bunk buddies, that's totally fine. I can just be, like, the bunk over bunk buddy. You know? And we can hang out, like, every day? Well, that is if you stay. Even though that's okay.
He kind of lifts his hand up, and his arm stretches, and one finger just shushes her mouth real quick.
Oh, you want
and
to
he
keep
just
quiet?
It comes back down, and he signs, let's see if I stay. At the moment, you are alright on the bunk above me, but if I plan on staying, I want you on the bunk over. I don't... He kind of tries to find a way to word it, and it's just,
You just want some personal space. I get it.
He nods very quickly at that, like, yes, personal space. That's personal space and privacy. Plenty of privacy. Absolute privacy. Actually, is there a screen in the room? He kind of glances around. Is there a screen in the room that he could kind of put between the bunk beds?
Not currently. You could probably makeshift something with, like, blankets, since you are on a bunk bed after all. You could probably just, like, hang them. Or you could probably try to pull something from your hammer space if you ever feel so bored.
You know what? Sure. That's the D10, right?
Yep. Okay, yeah, you pull something out.
Yeah, actually doesn't have polling. It's less of a... Actually, I'm going to coin flip because there's one of two things.
Mm-hmm.
He actually pulls out what looks like a ratty, hand-sewn old quilt. But it's a very big quilt. It's a very big quilt meant for a very big bed. And he kind of nods with a much more pleased look and signs very comfy. But he just kind of goes to the middle of the room and just sort of sets up this lovely little cloth divider, kind of, between the two spaces. And he actually pulls up his cane, and no perception check needed. She actually watches as he kind of twists the handle, and the bottom actually opens up and converts to a spear point. And he kind of politely embeds that in the ground so it makes a proper pole that he can actually tie the under the blanket to. And he sort of checks over his knot work. It's not the best, but it's a knot. It'll hold it'll do as long as nobody roughhouses with it. But he just kind of glances over the work and nods. Normally he would want to wear that comforter, but at the same that quilt, but at the same time, like, he would prefer his privacy for reasons, obviously.
Yeah.
So he kind of nods at that, and then he gestures for the moment to Cherry to go to the other side of the bunk. And since we can still talk, we could still talk. I have something I could use that you could see what I'm saying without seeing my hands.
Ooh. What you got?
Well, go to the other bunk first. And he gestures to it.
Okay.
Go to the other side. Go on. Go on.
She'll go over.
Just goes around the quilt, and he waits until he hears, the creak of, I would assume, springs, or are these like feather beds?
I feel it would probably like springs.
Yeah, as soon as those ears catch the creaking of springs and she's seated, she hears a snap of the fingers. And a rather fancy, hand-drawn looking text box appears right above the quilt. As in fine white cursive is written down. It's a black text box with some white framing to it. Just a couple of white etchings here and there. It looks rather fancy, but hand-drawn and rough around the edges. And in cursive is written over top, see? Now you can see me talking.
Oh, that's funky.
Roll a perception check, by the way. Perception check, by the way.
Let's see. Perception. You'd think I would know my perception by now, but no. It's a 17.
Surprisingly? Yeah, since it would normally be a decent DC to beat since he just put the quilt there, but from her spot on the opposite bunk, you can actually see the lighting on his side of the room has actually gotten darker after casting that.
Oh. It's kind of like you're like a little projector or something.
The text clears up for a minute before continuing right down. Something like that. But now I don't have to sign in front of your face for you to see what I'm saying.
Oh,
I mean,
that's true.
normally I would say what I'm saying, but not sure where that went.
Did you lose your voice too?
I think maybe. I mean, it's not on me at the moment. I've checked.
Well, I guess we'll have to find that sometime, huh?
There's the box stays empty for a minute, and then
if you want. I mean, I'm not gonna go into your problems if you don't want to go into them.
oh no, the cursive actually writes down, if you have a means of somehow finding a voice, which is not usually a physical thing that can be lost, believe me, I am all ears.
Well, I've never lost a voice before, but I wouldn't be opposed to try to find one.
That
Well,
might be a
specifically
good
yours,
first.
but...
That might be a good first step. But I'll still have to talk to. What was his name again? Ollie something.
Yeah, the Ollie guy.
Ollie, right. I still have to talk to him about certain matters, but it seems from what he's dealing with, he may understand them better. At the moment, I just appreciate the fact you would be willing to find my voice. But we'll have to see how that goes.
It'll take a while. I can assure you that. It'll take a while, but you know what?
She's kind of like getting comfortable on her own bed now. You know how like you're at a sleepover and you kind of just like you're sleepily talking with your friends. And you're just staring at the
I know
ceiling.
that. I know that all too well. Just probably setting the hands behind the head.
Oh, yeah.
That kind of thing.
Well, Scratch, I would say you're probably one of the few friends I got to know that doesn't have a voice yet, but it would be fun to see you have one. I know that, not every tune has a voice. They just kind of come naturally, but, if we can find that voice of yours, that'd be pretty good.
Box it does erase for a minute, and it sort of flickers a bit. Not in and out of existence or anything, but it flickers like a televised sort of silent film kind of text box for a moment, and a long moment of quiet passes before the writing comes up. Do you think you would like my voice?
Well, probably.
If you heard it?
I mean, I haven't heard a voice I didn't like.
Even one that scratches like...
Scratch, you could have the gruffest, lowest, terrible voice in the world, and I would still be okay with it. It's just a voice in the end. You use it to speak, and you get to say words, and you get to use it. And I feel like that's something that you kind of want. I'm pretty sure, like, being able to talk and to sing would probably be nice, right? Like, I don't know if you're a singer, but I do like to sing. I don't know if I'm very good.
Oh, the text box actually comes up, and the cursive is a bit cleaner. I actually do like to sing.
Aww.
That's a fun fact.
Oh,
I'm
that would be nice to hear you sing then.
I'm
curious
very
what that
good at
would
it.
be like.
I'm very good. I'm very used to performing with it, so I think you would quite enjoy it.
Oh,
Actually, hang on a moment. Hang on. And the box actually, it doesn't disappear, but it sort of just pops back down, and you can hear the sort of rustling of fabric as he's looking through his bag carefully without untying it. He realizes it's not in the bag, it's in his hammer space, and we're gonna go back to hammer space for a moment. And he actually does find it. And he pulls it out, and it's not visible over the quilt. Thankfully, it is hung up tall enough that she definitely cannot see him. But he pulls out his fiddle. And he actually just, the text box come back up over the quilt and says, I actually have an instrument I'm very good at, if you would like to hear a little bit of it.
Yeah. If you don't mind playing a little.
Of course. It's been a while since I pulled it out, but it helps to wind down with it after a while. And performance, it's D20 plus 5, and he's proficient, so plus 2. Whoop. And
Nat 20.
that is a
Or no, dirty 20. Dirty 20.
Dirty 20. And if Cherry would happen to know how a fiddle sounds, it would be a long, quiet, rather sweet-sounding tune, kind of close to a lullaby, but different from the lullabies she's heard, at least. For one thing, it's in a minor key, not a major key. But even for the slightly somber tone to it, it's rather sweet. And with that, of course, everybody eases down for the evening. And after Scratch would find himself something to eat because he's not going to sleep with chips and chips only, he would get settled into his bunk. I assume Cherry would get settled into hers. And finally, after a long day of shenanigans, the two would rest. Scratch is probably the last one to fall asleep, as he just kind of stares at her vague side of the room and thought. He can't see her over the quilt either, which is the intention, but after she falls asleep, he takes a moment, and he takes off the beak. He's not falling asleep with the beak on. And then he's going to roll over. And that'll be it. He rolls over preferably so his face is away from the door and her side of the room, but tries to sleep. And with that, that will be the end of their little shenanigan for the day. If he ends up talking to Ollie, that's going to be for a different one. Thank you for tuning in to our FBS for the day. I've been Mikey, playing Scratch, and we hope you tune in next time. Goodbye!